Thank you. It's my first time here on GDG, so thanks GDG and Deepa for having me here. Uh, I think Deepa gave a good introduction already, but I'll do a quick one. I'm been in the software industry for I think about almost completing 10 years this year. I've worked at multiple companies, mostly as a back-end engineer, and also in USA and in India. I've also done my master's from here. So yeah, I've been around a while. Uh, the reason that I'm here because I wanted to do a talk on software engineering and AI because I see that it is one of the hot topics these days, and almost everything is like incorporating AI. But I think software engineering in particular is doing it at a very big scale. I've seen it in firsthand. I'm also have conversations with people, and I think it for until now, I think it has been a great experience, and a lot of it has been due to AI that we are now able to do things very faster, even at like big companies, which are already faster, so they make it even more faster. So for the agenda, I would expect like an intermediate level audience here. With you don't have to like have knowledge about AI or software engineering. It's fine if even if you have no knowledge at all. But some things about like what's software development and what is AI and how what are the use cases it can produce. It's a good to have, but not strictly necessary. I'll be also talking about the impact that it has currently in various field organizations, and as well as some use cases that are specific to organizations, as well as based on my personal experience, the kind of things I've experienced, and I feel that sharing it could maybe help more people incorporate that. Along with the use cases, there are also like some challenges, pitfalls, some concerns that we should be aware of when we are building AI systems. So I'll touch on that, and I'll try to end it with where I personally think that things are going in the field of software engineering. So, by the way, feel free to stop me at any time. Don't think of it as like a boring talk. I know it's a late Thursday evening, but yeah, feel free to jump on if you have any question, or if I'm anywhere like you need to correct me or whatever. Right?
It's
Okay.
an interactive session, guys. So yeah, thank you so much, Jess, for doing this.
Right. Okay. So as I said, my target audience would ideally be anybody in the software engineering field, whether you are a software engineer or not, whether you're aspiring to be one, whether you are a seasoned one, and maybe you can get some ideas from it that you can use at your company. Uh, Anybody even who wants to learn software engineering from scratch and where to start, I'll briefly touch on that as well. Okay, so what's the hype? Why is AI such a big thing in software engineering these days? I feel that there are a few factors that are contributing. One of them, I think the biggest one, is the fact that people are assuming that AI is going to take over software engineering jobs. And maybe there'll be like no programmers at all, and everything will be done automatically. AI. It may be a very distant vision, and who knows, it could or could not be true. But as for the foreseeable future, really don't see it happening. But I'll touch on it later in the slides. The other thing that I feel is that a lot of startups are being built these days purely based on AI, and a lot of VCs are also putting in a bunch of money, which is really driving this hype. And some exaggerated claims like AI can code better than humans, it can reason better, it can maybe do X human job on its own. So these are some of the factors that I think they're not entirely true, but they do contribute to this being a prominent discussion point at various things. In terms of the current adoption, we are seeing that a lot of companies adopting these AI tools, which is for not to replace people necessarily, but to make their processes efficient. Like Google, Microsoft, Meta, they've already like using some percentage of code being generated from AI, and not like people writing it from scratch. And in as per a survey, it's about 92% of the developers in the US are using some sort of AI tools for coding. And in terms of the industry examples, I know it's a very fuzzy slide, but you could see like most of the companies, and this is just a small subset that I was able to find like good examples on. But companies like Google, Amazon, Netflix, Salesforce, PayPal, Visa, all of these are actually utilizing AI in one form or the other. So that contributes uh, to a big chunk in the software engineering field. So that is also one of the factors that is like driving the hype around this topic. Uh, Now I would like to do a little deep dive on what a software development lifecycle is and how exactly do we think that AI and at what stages it can really make an impact and where we can pretty much have very few uses in some areas as well. So this is a standard SDLC cycle. So it is planning, analysis, design, implementation, testing, and maintenance. It doesn't necessarily have to go in the same order because like different models. People may have worked with Agile, model, waterfall, Kanban, and a few more. But this is like a generic view of how software development goes in the industry. uh, so planning, yeah, starting with planning, it's like when you want to do something new at organizations. It's mostly like a yearly planning to basically predict what kind of resources they want to invest in the initiatives going forward, and is it aligned with their company's vision, and does it basically make sense for them to do or not. So in the planning, I see a lot of I talk to a lot of product managers at my companies where I've worked, and a lot of them have been using some kind of like predictive analysis, be it like some historical data, and try to get some kind of meaning, because not everybody is able to like predict what should we do next, what the next big thing. So sometimes you have to rely on the historical data, and you then based on that you can suggest like some ideas, and you double down on some, and then that's how like these organizations function. So there are a lot of like predictive analysis tools and like even assistance tools for project managers. I'm not gonna go into details of these tools because there are a bunch of them, and I don't want to like bias people's opinions on which one is better or not. But I'm just gonna provide a high level things that can be utilized for like planning. Historically, planning has been like just, oh, this is what we did last half or last year, and this is where we think our and based on basically it was a guess estimate of what they want to do. But now with a lot of data and a lot of tools integrated, they can make it's still a kind of a guess, but it's an educated guess. So they can better focus their resources on a topic that would yield them better results. So a lot of tools can be used in terms of the planning. Uh, Analysis is sometimes done separately, but a lot of time it is part of the planning itself. So it could be like things like, what are your customers talking about? Are they happy with the project, with your product? What are their pain points? What can you do better? And are there any inconsistencies in it? So things like that, they have been mostly been spread out across various platforms. For example, you have a product or something, you could have like Google reviews for it. There are some articles for it, and you would have your own like personal review platform as well. But to be able to like gather all of it together and make sense out of it and try to get actionable outcomes, I think this is where NLP and these chatbots have done a great job. They can like you can throw a bunch of uh, text at them, even at the granularity uh, a, uh, like a conversation between a chatbot and a customer. You could have those transcripts and feed it into an LLM, and it would tell you and tell it to like produce what are the top pain points for the customers, and it'll give you that. And then you can pretty much see that these are the things that could be beneficial and could be the triggers to get you more customers in the future as well. So that's how I think analysis phase could benefit from using AI.
I have a question. I'm going to stop you here. People can raise their hands too, because it is going to be an interactive one. So when you say that the planning one, right? So based on what you said is like you have the user feedback, or you collect the data, you put it in an LLM. Can this also build a product roadmap for the future? Oh, can it? Great.
I mean,
Okay.
so yeah, here's the thing. But whether you should do it or not is a separate thing, because it can, if you are using it in terms of like getting suggestions from it, and then like iterating, you still have to follow the regular planning and all those things with humans. But you can, what you can do is use it as a boilerplate stuff that it can give you maybe some high level insights. You may or may not want to do it, but I've seen people like build entire design docs using LLMs.
Oh, great. Any questions, please, let's make it interactive. And if you have any questions, if you're shy, you can post your questions on the chat. Otherwise, you can unmute yourself and speak.
Sounds good. Yeah. So once we're done with all the planning and everything, next comes in the design. This could be done at a software developer level, or maybe leads or manager level as well. So there are a lot of tools to name a few. That like I think Canva is also great, and Figma, and a few more tools that you don't have to like necessarily design all the wireframes yourself. You could give it some prompts and let's say like design at least the basic skeleton for you, which you can then iterate upon and use it. So all of that work that took like maybe a few days could be done in one day. So that's I think in areas like this is really helpful, because rather than like a person doing it all over and uh, with little like efficiency, so if there is an efficiency gain here, I think it's great to use these tools. And they're pretty spot on as well. They have like very, I think uh, they have iterated a lot with a lot of data, and I think they create like great wireframes and design components, which you can then like iterate upon and use to your advantage. Okay, implementation. I think this is where I personally am seeing a lot of uh, like advantage to me as a developer, because nowadays anything that I or anybody else, I think, in the software development field does, uh, nobody is like doing things from scratch. So if you have to like build something, maybe it's just, or maybe it's a small app or whatever, you can have like some boilerplate functionality which is available to you, and then you can fine tune it, you can make it better whichever way you want. And in terms of the actual coding, I think there are a lot of like code assistant tools which do a fantastic job of like code completion. And I've had like very little complaints from them so far. Sometimes they are like they do produce garbage as well, but a lot of times I think it's like very useful and does save a lot of time if it is like the backing model is like trained on good coding data. Then it can also like give you early signals like any code smells or any like optimizations within the code itself, rather than having to go through a code review process to do that. So it saves you a lot of time within the development cycle. So here is, I think, implementation. I've seen a lot of field.
Can I ask you a question in terms of implementation? Yes, it's easier to begin with. Like you said, many startups are using it. However, if once it takes off, or for some reason it becomes super duper, um, uh, success for the startup. So in that case, your code starts to bloat, right? So can how can AI help when you're thinking about scalability and resilience and right and reliability and all those things?
So there is a trade-off uh, with like efficiency and the long-term like tech debt or whatever you call it.
Mm-mm.
So you have to like balance it, because if you like keep writing code blindly with these agents or like these tools, there is definitely going to be like code bloating. You mentioned some tech debt, and then you spend a lot of time, maybe not right away, but after some time you do all these refactorings and then cleanups and all those things. So I think like I said, that you can use them to your advantage, but don't over rely on them. That whatever, always make sure to like check, because sometimes it could not be trained on like very good data, and the optimization or the code that it is suggesting you may not be the best one. So always use judgment first when using these agents.
Sounds good. Yeah, thank you. And if you have any questions, anything, please post it. I'm pretty sure that most of you working in the industry will be using some kind of a AI tool these days. So please post questions. And there is one question. Let's see how it is. Okay, am I seeing? Where is it? Is it at the top or? Okay, at Meta, how are you using AI for implementation? Is it more like a code pilot or code autocomplete level, or more like cursor? More agentic. That's what he means.
uh, I think it is more like an autocomplete system, but that's like just one application of AI. So autocomplete is one, and then you have all these other things, other phases like tests or optimizations and all those things. But I think the most popular one or the most common one that is like used every day is autocomplete. Not sure what like product exactly they use, but yeah,
Yeah,
it's
these must be
pretty good.
internal tools, right? That I don't think he might be able to talk, but at least some that he's they are using something with an autocomplete level. Thank you so much. I hope that answers your question, Eric. All companies have their own internal stuff that we don't know about.
Okay. Uh, so yeah, testing and integration. So I think a great example here is like everybody, let's say we write code, and at certain like organizations I've seen that there are certain like testing requirements, like whatever, there has to be like some percentage of it unit tested, and some other ways of making sure that the code you're deploying is validated at the stage one. So I think auto generation of test cases, I think it has been a great help in terms of the daily activities, because it can, and by the way, this doesn't have like that kind of precision as like code complete, as far as I've seen, but it still gives you like a basic structure of, instead of creating everything from a scratch, it gives you a testing class, and you can see where you need to correct it. It's basically, I think it cuts the time by more than half of if you have to do it from scratch by yourself. So this example. I think I've used it. I've seen people use it. and it can help save you a lot of time during the development cycle. For maintenance, I think the things like when to flag issues or when to like proactively detect failures so that you can be on top of things even before a failure comes or a failure is expected. And this also is like there's no like rocket science behind it, so it's also based on your historical logs, your issues or whatever you call them at your organization. Based on them, if some metric or something is like spiking or almost reaching towards that, so you could have like intelligent alerts built into the system that would like instead of getting things from customers and reacting on it, you can be proactive about it. So I think this also is a pretty good example. All right. So I know a lot of people have this question of like I'm I'm a software engineer and I've been a back end or a front end developer for a while. How do I like enter the AI field? And I personally had this question sometime back as well, and I it sounds like intimidating from the outside, but it's not really a very hard thing to do if you do take the right steps and like take a long term goal rather than like everybody wants to jump on the AI train right away. So I would advise to like take your time and do things at your own pace. That way, I think you can build a solid understanding and be more successful at AI rather than like rushing things. So I've added a few things that I think are helpful, and I'll cover them one by one. So the first thing I think is understanding the fundamentals. So I think Python is very popular because it has like great libraries that seamlessly integrate with AI and reduce the development time. So that's why I think it's the most popular language when you want to develop a model or whatever. And one more thing that I was shocked to see when I was like going through this is like how much math skills do you need to be successful in AI? Because a lot of it is like linear algebra, plotting points on a graph, on a line, on like complex figures, like a parabola or a hyperbola. I'm not sure if anybody's familiar with these terms, but like then a lot of calculus as well, differentials and all that. So I think if I was also like rusty on these concepts, so having those concepts I think really helps you understand what AI is doing, because at the end of the day, it's basically a model, and a model is based on some function, and you're trying to fit some data on a function. So having this knowledge, I think, really helps. And in terms of algorithms and data structures, I think these core for any field, not just AI or ML. Even if you're a front end developer or a back end developer, I think having a strong grasp over it really helps. And I think that those would I would suggest are the first steps if somebody wants to take towards this field.
Before I jump in, I think Thomas has a question. It was in the chat. Sorry, I missed Thomas. What? Oh, I think he's going to be talking about AI and LLMs now. So, what has been your experience with RAG to enhance or correct live LLMs? I think somewhere on the lines it's going to come.
Yeah, I haven't used RAG specifically so far. Uh, we do use LLMs, but I think it also depends on your use case, your organizations, how much like of this kind of fine tuning work do you want to do. If you have like a solution readily available, so you can just go ahead and use it. Otherwise, in general speaking, I think RAG is more towards if you want to build like something, a personalized solution or whatever, because these foundation models are mostly trained on generic data, which is in most cases is the entire internet. So if you want your system to, let's say, be better at let's say stocks, or be better at predicting sports events or outcomes or whatever, then you can use RAG, and also like getting up to date information and all that. So I haven't done it personally, but that's one of the things that are in my roadmap to be able to achieve.
Hey, can I ask you this question? Because you said that you haven't used RAG, but then in a way that how are you trying to, you are working in a place, but then how are you learning as you go, as you make this transition of, okay, yes, I mean, I'm using LLMs for fine tuning, but then there are some parts of it which I still have to develop my muscle around. So how do you do those things while, working around this? You have to find projects, or how do you, in general, it's not about Meta, it's not anything specific to the company, but in general, I do see that you have put some courses in there, but while you're working, how do you make this transition?
Yeah, I think irrespective of where you're working, I think you can do two things. One of the thing is you can use your own time for self learning, and that's one of the things that I did. I think if you go to Coursera, Andrew NG has like a lot of courses, individual and in collaboration with others. And I think one of his ML courses is called Machine Learning Specialization. I think that's the very basic one and very simple to understand, and it teaches you a lot of things, and you can pretty much build your model at the end. So I've been like sparing some of my personal time to learn these things. The second thing is, I think if it's really something interesting and you want to do that, I think having these conversations with your managers or leaders or your mentors, I think it's very helpful because then they know your intent, and they would also be on the lookout for an opportunity if they can give you like a ML project or something, and that's how you like slowly ramp up, because it's a new space, and it's not that you'll be successful on day one. So maybe in collaboration with something, even just like passive listening. So I think those are like good first steps that could be helpful.
Thank you. Any questions, folks? I thank you so much, Thomas, for putting in that link. Thanks.
Okay. Yeah. So, like I mentioned, uh, it's not like I'm advertising for Coursera, but I think that it has some good courses, and feel free to take a look. And there are like equivalent good courses on Udemy EDX as well. I haven't done a lot of Fast AI or Udacity, but the other two, I have a few courses, and it's like you can do at your own pace. It's not a commitment you have to finish. But yeah, even if it's like 2 hours a week or something you can spare, or 5 hours a week, I think that's still good enough. And incremental progress is always good. Uh, yeah. So once, let's say you've done like some basic knowledge of this AI ML, and you know like what supervised learning or what like these models are and what do they do. So you can also learn like key tools, which I think these ones are pretty popular and used a lot. Pandas, scikit-learn, TensorFlow. I think there are more as well, so I just listed these. But I think these make life very easier when you are doing ML development. So rather than like writing all these things by yourself, you can just like one line like model.train, and it'll train your model. And a lot of more things, like with pandas you can like have enormous data sets, and it can like do computations very fast on that. So these libraries are very very helpful, so feel free to like take a look. And I think version control is uh, necessity in like any software development field, so you need to have like some kind of basic knowledge for what a Git or whatever product you're using at your company. And yeah, the most important thing is like get started. So it doesn't, your first project doesn't have to be like perfect. It doesn't have to like solve any problems or whatever. It doesn't have to be an innovation, but just get started, like see if you can build like a basic classifier or a basic model, even if you like put in a prompt in any of these like Gemini or wherever, so you can pretty much get boilerplate code for a model. It's like a give me a code for a classifier system, so it'll give you that, and then you can like get some data sets and start to like iterate on it and see if you can make some modifications to it and how does it behave. So that's always I think it's a good learning process. Yeah, one more thing is like I recently learned this, that there are a lot of like competitions and hackathons that are happening all around. So I think there are, even within some organizations, they do like internal hackathons, and those are sometimes give birth to ideas that eventually become products for the company. So participating in them is a great source. Open source contributions and any like follow the discussions, and I think that way you can stay like up to date on this, uh, and just keep learning. Like we get news like, oh, this company launched this new model, and this company is like, this model is better than the other by this. So whenever something launches, I think there is a research paper that follows. So to get the details, give it a read and see like what they tried to do, how did they do differently, and how it behaves better. That way, I think you can stay on top of whatever's going on in the AI world, because a lot of it is going on every day. New things come up, so I think this is the only way you can like be on top. Okay, so I'll share a few use cases now, which I think are very helpful at a personal level, and also a few people that I know that have been like using this. Uh, One of the use cases is code translation. So this is just like a dumbed down example from Gemini, but if you look at from like an organization perspective, it's like sometimes organizations have these code bases that are like legacy, and maybe they want to move to a new platform or a new coding language, right? So I think LLMs can do a very good job here, because if your model is trained very well on both of these languages, I think it creates a very like acceptable level of code translation, which would otherwise could be maybe a year long project for a company, or maybe few years, depending on what the complexity of the code and the size of the organization. But I think starting with like in a batched phase, I think code translation is where LLMs can be very helpful. And not just at the organization level, even if you're learning something, or let's say you're preparing for interviews, and you go to these platforms to go to do like algorithmic problems, right? And then you see some solutions and you don't really understand because it's in a different language. So you could just like copy that code and paste it in the language of your choice, and that way you can easily like grasp the concepts more clearly. uh, Another thing is code optimization, and by optimization, it's not just, it means that you have to make like things run faster, or like it has to be like X lines of code only. So it has to be like general optimization. This is just one example where the LLM reduces the complexity in the implementation, and so that it's more efficient. But it can do other things as well. It can give you pointers on where there are code smells in your code, where it be like, for example, null pointers, or some things that are redundant and should not can be deleted, or things like that. So a lot of these optimizations, it's sometimes very easy to skip through when you are like developing something new, because you are kind of in a rush to like push something and deliver it with a deadline or whatever. but having this LLM as an assistant to you, kind of guiding you, and you could maybe take or reject their suggestion. That's up to you. But it's a good tool to have in your bag to be able to produce good code upfront.
There's a question from Thomas again. What solution and AI version has proven to be most beneficial for learning? Gemini 2.0 Flash, etc.
Uh, I mean, I can't compare really these tools because I haven't used all of them, but a few of them that I've used, like Gemini, you mentioned, ChatGPT is one, and even the Meta AI. So I think they have evolved to a stage that, at least in terms of this application, like code completions and like optimizations and things, I don't think like one or the other has like a really big advantage. I think depending on if it's your organizational use, it really, at least I haven't seen a difference between these tools so far.
Cool. There are some people who have put in a lot of resources about how to. There are a lot of resources. Orally, I post for hackathons, and then there's a course for a fast.ai, and there's something called as AI Camp Community. Thank you so much, Mary, because I didn't know this. So, thanks a lot. And there is also one question. Just let me read it through. Where is this? Okay, Raunak is asking how much in depth should one go when learning AI, especially with complex topics like calculus involved? How do you know when it's enough to move on to the next concept?
I think it's a very good question. Uh, so I would say that I am a kind of a person who like wants to do things as you go. Uh, Whenever you start something, or because you will never be like ready to say that, oh, now I've spent like 6 months on calculus and now I'm perfect. You can still face challenges. So I would say that start learning with the bare minimum concepts that you should know. You don't need to be know all of it, and keep learning as you go. As you build things, you come across something, then you read it up on about it anywhere, and then you start incorporate that learning within that process, rather than saying that now I'm going to take few months or whatever learning this and then I'll start. So I think that could like pretty much, because you never know how much long it's going to take to go
I
through
think
that.
taking also a complex, complex learning, and how much can you retain and how much can you apply to it is what that matters, I guess. So I would resonate with you on that. And but then we do have two questions. Could you restate the course you said to work through, where I think you said that you build your own model at the end?
It's called machine learning specialization. It's on Coursera from Deep Learning. Andrew NG is the tutor, so you can look it up.
I'll just post it in a moment, and just give me a minute.
Okay.
And we have one more question from Mary. Are you using Gemini like collaborative partner, or more so as an answer generator? Or she's asking whether if it's a text generator or as a code assist. If am I rephrasing it correctly, Mary?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Gemini Code Assist is pretty good. So both ways, I would say. Code Assist is definitely one thing that saves a lot of time for me. I don't use it for work like specifically, but on like side projects and these like courses and things like that. But as an answer generator, when like I need to learn something, or I mean, I hardly do Google these days, so both use cases.
I have a quick question, because there are two courses that I'm saying. There's one in deep learning .ai, which has a specialization that you said, machine learning specialization. but there is a specialization also in Coursera. But the one that you said is with Andrew, right?
Yes.
Okay, okay, gotcha. I am gonna just put this link here, guys. Just move ahead.
All right.
Yes.
Okay, cool. And I think this I already covered in an earlier slide. Auto-generating tests, I think, and good quality tests. I think this is one of the very strong points of these LLMs. And you get like this huge classes, test classes, and these tests are not gonna like be prod ready by any means, but it gives you like based on what code you have written, it tries to cover like a lot of things that maybe some edge cases that can get missed if you do things from scratch by your own. So you kind of get these ideas and then you can like take or uh, leave whatever you feel like according to your use case. But having this assistant, I think it has been really good. Code reviewing is also, I think, it's evolving a lot because oftentimes we see that at organizations, your speed is pretty much bottlenecked at code reviews because there has to be like human reviews and everybody has to like look at each and every line that you're writing to make sure nothing breaks in prod because then they are also accountable who reviewed the code. I think integrating AI in that process helps a lot because then it can like give you signals like what does it think that is the risk associated with that code review. Does it think that it is a computationally heavy code that could be like expensive or whatever? No. Does it think that it is bad from like a security point of view or something? So these kind of signals could be built in the code review process. And then once you're reviewing the code, you still have to do like a human review. But then these things like act to your advantage, giving you at least some level of confidence in the code. And then on top of that, you can like also provide your own views if you want. And yeah, one thing that I I think I just mentioned. So generating boilerplate code, I think this is one of one of my favorite examples of this because anything that you want to do new, sometimes you don't have an idea. You know what do I do? Like, do I create a class? Do I create a function? What library do I use? And things like that. So I think with these LLMs, this has become like really simple. So if you see that this is a prompt that I gave to Gemini, and I asked it to create a neural network. I specified how many layers I want and how many units I want in each layers, and also the activations for layers. Uh, so it pretty much like a prod-ready code. I can, if I have the data, I can pretty much run this and compile this, and it's like giving me uh, like results. So I think this is like very very helpful because otherwise you start searching the web looking for resources, and having this kind of things like gives you a base to work off of, and you can always like improve things and build on top of it. Okay, so in terms of some of the challenges
Hey, I'm
that
going to
I
stop you. There is one question. Sorry about that.
sure.
There is this thing. Okay, it's at the top. How do you think AI will impact software engineering performance reviews if AI is writing most of your code? Do you think the bar for meets expectations is going up?
Yeah, good question. Yeah, I think like having X lines of code written should not be like an edge to you anymore because who knows, did you write it? Did the LLM write it? But even like, I think even like before AI, there were like things like Stack Overflow and all these resources. So there were still use cases where people like pretty much used some code or some reference as an example and then build on top of it. So AI is doing it at a very fast pace and very convenient way. Uh, but yeah, I think things like, oh, I wrote this lines of code, and yeah, the bar is certainly high.
So there's one more question. I was about to say earlier we used to copy paste. Now it's we don't even have to do that.
Right.
No, I'm just joking. If an engineer uses AI as a consumer to work more efficiently, why is it even important to learn things like machine learning as opposed to prompt engineering? Would machine learning courses be geared towards people who want to work developing AI instead of just using it?
Right. I think it depends on the use case and the organization that you're working for. Some organs or some industries don't care what the underlying model is, what's the architecture, what does RAG or all these things mean. So if you're just like a consumer of these things, maybe you don't need to bother about all these details. But if you are specifically in like tech, then I think it is always important to understand what you're using because things change very fast. And if you don't have an understanding, you could have like an outdated or a legacy version of things, as opposed to if you know that, oh, some new model, open source model is there. How does it help you better? And how does it help your organization? That I think is very useful tool to have. Even if you are a machine learning engineer or not, I think it's still, even if you're just a programmer, I think it's still useful to know the details of what's going under the hood.
I hope that answers your question, Romain. If you can unmute and speak if you have more questions, otherwise I will let Jas take it. Take it. I think you can continue. If he has question, you can unmute or post more questions. Thank you.
Okay, cool. Uh, yeah, so as I was mentioning, like some of the challenges that I see, like in the wide adoption of like AI, or in a sense, like AI replacing programmers, are I think there are a few of them, uh, and even like programmers for like being outdated. So there are like gaps and learning curves, which I think an enigma for some people who like, who maybe think that, oh, this is, I don't know how to do this and all that, and that like keeps creating that technical gap that organizations are not able to like fastly onboard to the systems and use them to their advantage. Uh, some other challenges in adoption are like biases and data quality issues, because at the end of the day, any model is only as good as the data that you train it with. So if your data is not like transparent, or it's not of good quality, or it doesn't meet the security standards, then your model is going to perform the same way. So these things, I think it's easy to say, but it's hard to implement the development cycles. So yeah, some of these things need to be taken care of when you're building an AI solution, or like proposing something, let's say in your company, or even as like a personal project. Uh, Cost, I think, is one of the biggest concerns, because these models, like if you want a better model, you have to train it on more data, and more data means more computations, and more computations mean more GPUs. So, and they are expensive. So this is also one of the reasons that you don't see like models coming out like every day or even every week, because a lot of training has to go, at least for launching these some of these base models. So companies try to like strategically plan for training, so that fine tuning can be done later on, but then training and building the model, that costs a lot. And then there are like also expectations and ethical considerations. These are things like any biases, because people like tend to judge AI systems very uh, in a very fast manner. Uh, and it becomes a news like overnight if some LLM produces like an incorrect like response or maybe a biased response, and a lot of things like go into building these systems so that uh, they cater to a wider audience. Uh, I've looked at some of the examples. I was taking a look at like what kind of issues have like some companies faced while using AI, and I think some of these three I could find that caught my eye. Like Air Canada had incident where customer like got a recommendation from their chatbot, and he booked a ticket, and it was some kind of like rebate that was supposed to go to the customer, but it didn't go. They went to court, and it had to be like fought, and then they eventually got the and reimbursement for that. Uh, I think Amazon is a very good example. So they adopted some version of AI back in 2014 as part of the recruitment process. So it would like shortlist resumes based on like automated system, like a human would really look at it. And then after a few years, they realized that they were like preferring more male candidates over females. It could be like a data issue or whatever, but it did become like a news a few years ago, and then they had to like switch it or maybe fine tune it in some way. Uh, yeah, one more example that I found was some legal proceedings. I think it was some airlines in Colombia. So lawyer research and use like Chat GPT or I think some other tool uh, to build like case papers, and so it like event automatically omits some of the things due to like ethics or some concerns, and it the case was like dismissed for saying that it lacks evidence, and the legal firm was in trouble due to that. So all these cases like suggest that we should be uh, using these things as helper and not as like something to rely on completely, because then like the stakes are very high and the issues could even be more depending on how and where you're using it. Yeah, this is the last slide. Sorry for boring you guys for so long. I think for future I think these are the two main things that I find people talking about these days. One is like no code development. So what it means that you don't essentially have to, if you have like a startup idea or whatever, if you want to build something today, you don't need to like write any code and still build something. If you've not used, try using N8N. Uh, it's basically a UI platform where you can like plug and play with components, with models, integrations, and all those things, and you can build an end-to-end product without doing any code. But the challenge with that is you're entirely relying on, and you have very less control over customizations or like issues like privacy and all those things. The other thing is AI agents. They are a very hot topic these days, and a lot of companies are adopting it and using it to their advantage. And I think it's great if like rather than just giving you answers, these LLMs can actually do something for you. Uh, it's a great innovation, I would say. But again, like I think it also comes with its own challenges. Like if you ask an LLM to book a flight ticket for you, so will it mess up at some point or no? Or what happens if it sends you to the wrong airport or something, or wrong destination? So all those things continue to evolve, but I think there are like very interesting use cases in the future.